Hey guys, Melissa again here. I just did a video from my car. Now I'm inside and I went online to just respond to something somebody had said on social media, and it really got me going. And I just thought, use it, use your passion to make a video about it. Okay, so anyways, I left this comment before about kids being, blessings, and that's usually my stance on things. And somebody had written something that basically said, if you can't afford kids, you shouldn't have them. That is something that was thrown at me many times, whether subtly or directly in my life. And it really ticks me off because who are you? Who are you to say somebody can't have kids? I mean, these people who have said these to me, who are they? They're not in it. They're not dealing with the finances. They're not you, is what I'm trying to say. So, I share my story of how we lived in a trailer and we had 5 kids. And so what? I mean, we lived off the grind and we lived well. Many people don't even have kids and live really awful lives. Okay, so I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that stuff. I was kind of known as a goody two shoe in school. I graduated early from high school. I then went to college for a short time. I went to college for stenography. So I was really moving up in life after I graduated. And this was during my high school years. I had an abortion forced on me. So even being coerced into that, I still had enough confidence, or whatever you want to call it, to graduate early. I knew that I could use my study halls to finish school early, which is what I wanted. I wasn't really into school. I was having my social life with boys and dating, and it was time for me to go. So I graduated a year early, and then I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I knew in high school I had gotten some counsel to decide what I wanted to do, and I didn't know. And the only thing that looked good on that piece of paper was something that I would be making money at, stenography. So I went to college, and it was something that was encouraged to make something out of myself, is what I used to hear. And money was what that meant, that you need to make something out of yourself. So I went there, and I personally, with my personality, I was trying to find myself. I dyed my hair blonde, and I really did not know what I was doing with my life. I mean, I was a mess. And I was going to college, and I didn't really care for it. I was working at an office at the same time with lawyers, and I felt like it was really fake. I felt like it wasn't down to earth. And I didn't have the maturity to deal with, the attorneys, and to really appreciate that kind of life, I guess. I was a down to earth girl, and I didn't want it at the time. Looking back now, do I have regrets for not finishing college? Not at all. I mean, I've had people say, oh, you should have stuck with it. You wasted it. Just critical people. You wasted it. Not at all. It was an experience. One thing I did get from it was one of my bosses had said, always read in life, Melissa. It doesn't matter whether it's the sports section in the paper or whatever, always read. And I was never a reader in school. Always physical, always outside, go, go, go. And so I just remember that. That's kind of what helped make him. And he was very rich. And I just kind of kept that in the back of my head. But, I had a little bit of a hearing problem too that I had when I was a kid. And I was a little concerned about not being able to do as good as I should. And looking back, no, I was true to myself. So I don't regret that decision. Now, would I have enjoyed it? Maybe I would now. But I don't know. I still love my life. I love the life I live. So I think it all turned out good. But my point is, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I'm like, I got married, and I'm like, oh, I still don't know what to do. I guess I'll go to hairdressing school, pick something. So I went there, and I was pregnant with my first son, and I didn't even think I could get pregnant because that's what abortion will do to you. It makes you feel like, God is punishing you if you can't have kids. So I just figured I probably couldn't and went to hairdressing school. And I did graduate, and I was pregnant when I graduated. So that's a real big accomplishment for me, because when I was in high school, that abortion was because my family they were like, you're too young, and you need to get your education and stuff. And there's no reason why you can't get an education, as I just said, while being pregnant. So I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do, and at that time it was economically cheaper for me to stay home and be pregnant than to go and work. I was working later a little bit, but it just didn't make sense when I was pregnant. Medicaid at that time would not let me be on Medicaid if I worked. So I took the help instead. And, the hospital stay was a huge amount of money, and it was better for me to stay home. So that's what I did. And then, so then right away, I had another one within a year and a half, another son. And then 2 years later, I had my third son. And then cancer hit. My husband had cancer, and we had no insurance. And I look back when people say, you need to afford kids. You can't always afford kids. I mean, it's so cruel to me. I mean, should I say, well, geez, I'm poor, so I really don't deserve to live? Or my husband's poor, so he doesn't deserve to live? Why do we do that with kids? Why do we not say, let's find creative ways so we can have kids? So I didn't let money stop my dreams. And even if we had money saved, would have been totally wiped out. We had an X-ray office write off $25,000 that we didn't have. We had the catastrophic illness program take care of most of that. We've had, there were programs through the hospital that took care of it. So we had, I want to say, definitely over 100,000 in help. And that was huge. So even if we did have good insurance, it still would not have been covered. I mean, cancer is ridiculously expensive, never mind the 5 years of remission. And, just because you have health insurance, it doesn't cover it. And cancer is hard enough to go through for somebody. So, taking care of the bills is something that is really not that much to ask for help when you're going through something like that. So then my husband had no work, so we had no money at all with 3 kids. And luckily the church came in and helped out at that time until he could work. And then we had, the doctors said we probably couldn't have any more children. I was heartbroken. I loved being a mother. And my grandmother had 10 kids, so I definitely envisioned myself having a huge family. We did have 2 more, and here we are in a trailer, and the older ones are getting, older, and they're leaving, and our 2 younger ones are growing up. And we did it. We added on a little room, and we did it. I mean, but we lived, outside the trailer a lot. We had a nice yard. We had a really nice park where the kids rode their bikes, and we went to the parks, we went to the pools. I was very active, bringing them everywhere with Awana youth group mission trips. We didn't, the trailer was just a place to, we did have a home environment, but it was a place to rest our head. And that's it, so we did it. And I later had my oldest serve in the Army, and they were always happy kids. And so just, we want to be careful we don't have a Hitler philosophy of saying, blonde hair and blue eyes only. There is no shame in being poor, none. So just be aware of that. When you're struggling, your kids grow up, they end up working, and many times they are helping to take care of you as you get older. And you would hate somebody to say, geez, I can't afford my mother. I shouldn't have a mother because I can't afford her, or whatever. So we need to be really careful with money and families that we're thinking right. They are definitely worth every penny that you have, and they're worth the investment. And like I said, I look back at women I look back at, as an older woman now, I look back at my life and I look at many women who chose to live a selfish life, whether it's, just drinking or partying or instead of having kids, or whether, whatever the selfishness was. And I look back and I see a life where I toughed it out, and I went through a lot to have my kids. When I was a teenager, I didn't have any responsibilities. I mean, I worked and I blew my money on whatever I wanted. I didn't have any responsibilities at all. And then when I did, boom, it all fell in my lap. And yeah, I struggled and sacrificed, and it was well worth it. So no regrets.